advisors.
What's going on, everybody? A very happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Pushing the Limits. What's up, PTL Nation? In one of course, the fastest growing radio shows, internet shows, podcast in the country, whatever you want to call it. We appreciate you being here on my personal YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show. Of course, on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, the FMAM dial KSHP. We appreciate you being a part of the show. The Super Chat in effect today. Anybody making donations on the Super Chat, we will read your comment and or question live on the air. Great participation this week with that, and we appreciate you guys. Very funny comedian and a CNN contributor. Love the guy. I think he's great. Pete Dominick's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. You know what? I wanted to start the show off by asking you guys this. Why is it that when a black lesbian named Brittany Griner is released, brought home, I think most people that are not bigots would say that's a good thing, right? She clearly made a mistake. So did this guy Fogel. If you're going to go to another country, don't go to Russia. If you have to go to Russia, don't bring any type of drug paraphernalia with you and or drugs. I think that's a pretty fair request. They both made mistakes, but I'm glad they're home. But why is it on the far right, when a black lesbian is sent home, everybody on the far right seem to have a problem with it? What a terrible deal. Shame on Joe Biden. Shame on Brittany Griner. But then when a straight white male is sent home, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that he's home and with his family. I think that's a good thing. But Donald Trump hasn't even said what he gave up in return. All we're hearing from the White House and Donald Trump is, we didn't give up much. What did you give up then? If you didn't give up much, then why don't you tell us? Because he's hiding something, just like everybody else in this administration. But that's okay to MAGA. White male sent home. Great job, Mr. President. You're a hero, even though we have no idea what you gave in return to an evil, murderous dictator. But if a black lesbian is sent home, terrible deal, terrible deal. But wait a second. You don't even know the deal that was struck down between Trump and Putin. No, it doesn't matter. Great deal. And remember when Whelan was sent home under Joe Biden and his administration and Donald Trump was taking credit for it? These people have zero credibility. None. Zero. And here's the nitwit, the orange orangutan, Donald Trump, who did a press conference yesterday with the real president, President Musk, while Musk's child was running around in the Oval Office. If that wasn't weird enough, here's Donald Trump saying he hopes the war in Ukraine will end. And he's asked, what did you offer Vladimir Putin?
Fogel will be at the White House tonight at about 10 o'clock. If you want to come over, you can say hello to him.
Did you guys give anything in return?
Not much. No, they were very nice. We were treated very nicely by Russia, actually. I hope that's the beginning of a relationship where we can end that war and millions of people can stop being killed. They've lost millions of people. They lost, in terms of soldiers, probably 1.5 million soldiers in a short period of time.
So on one end of a non-answered question, he says he didn't offer Putin much. Oh, I guess we're supposed to take Donald Trump for the honor system. And that makes everything on the far right totally okay. At least if you don't like the trade with Brittany Griner, I shouldn't call it a trade, but that's an exchange, I guess is a more appropriate word, Brittany Griner. If you didn't like the deal, that's one thing, but at least Joe Biden and his administration were open and out front on what the deal entailed. We have literally no idea what Donald Trump offered Vladimir Putin. I know people in Ukraine are not very happy. We have no idea. He's not telling us. Caroline Levette's not telling us. Could be anything. We have no idea. And MAGA's okay with this. Meanwhile, we are literally getting screwed by Elon Musk, and Musk is getting exactly what he paid for. Have a listen to this.
People voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times that, people that don't get what they voted for, But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
No, it's not. The people are getting screwed. Elon Musk is getting what Elon Musk paid for, because when you give Orange Orangutan hundreds of millions of dollars, you get this power. You get access to all the people that you don't like, to all the people that you think screwed you over. This isn't about America. This is about Elon Musk. That's what this is about. And if Elon Musk wants to talk about how transparent he is, which he's not, why won't you release your financial disclosures? This is Elon Musk again talking about if there's a, conflict of interest, the people will know.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately,
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or
Yeah.
look in that area.
Yeah,
If we
sure.
thought there was a
Yeah.
lack
Right.
of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watched that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that so reassuring? Thank you, Mr. Orange Orangutan. Thank you. I just have one question, Mr. President Musk. If you claim to be so transparent, which you're not, then why won't you release all your financial disclosures? Just like Donald Trump has failed to release all of his tax returns. If you guys claim to be so transparent with the American people, why won't you release your financial disclosures? I'll tell you why. Because Elon Musk doesn't want you to see them, because he has something to hide. Make no mistake about it. Let me be very clear on this. I don't believe this is about money necessarily for Elon Musk. I believe this is about retribution. Example, Donald Trump firing FBI agents that investigated him. All they did was do their job. Firing every single person that he doesn't like. Taking down picture frames in the White House of General Milley and others that he doesn't like. Not because they broke the law. Just he doesn't like them, and they stood up to him. That's exactly what Elon Musk is doing right now. He's going after the companies and people that he feels mistreated him. This is not only now a retribution tour for Donald Trump, it's also a retribution tour for Elon Musk. That's what this is about. When are people going to realize this isn't about the American people? Not at all. And this was the point in the press conference where Donald Trump was asked about these judges that have ruled against him. Because if any judge rules against you, if you're Donald Trump, they must be corrupt. They must be crazy. It must be a serious violation, right? Have a listen to this.
And some of the things that we found, which are shocking, billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain something to the American people. It's not about the judges not wanting you to weed out corruption. It's about the judges not allowing you to break law and what is in the Constitution. You orange orangutan fool you. And when Caroline Leavitt, who has done this show before, the election denying fake Christian who's married to the Crypt Keeper, was asked today about this. She showed up a piece of paper that shows people that are not agreeing with Trump policy. That is not in violation of the law. That is not fraud. And clearly, the blonde bimbo doesn't seem to understand that. She showed up a piece of paper today. Oh, look, this is against law. They're defying Donald Trump's policies. Defying a policy is not breaking the law, you dumb nitwit. Donald Trump held a press conference with two children yesterday, Elon Musk's 2-year-old son and Elon Musk. That's what these people are. They're children. That's who they are. Elon Musk is a big boy who has the mentality of a child when it comes to ego and immaturity and owning the libs and retribution. That's exactly why he donated hundreds of millions of dollars to the Donald Trump campaign. Not just so his investors could make money, not just so that his corporations and his companies could make money, so that he could fire people and go after people that he doesn't like. Make no mistake about it. And I go back to how I started this segment. I do find it interesting that a black lesbian is let go and returned to the USA in exchange under Joe Biden, and the MAGA right had a huge problem with that. This guy Fogel is sent home, which I think is great. But Donald Trump and the White House are not even explaining what he gave up in return. We're just supposed to take Donald Trump's word for it. Oh, I didn't give him much. And the far right are celebrating it. I wonder why that is. Maybe, just maybe, many on the far right don't want to see a black lesbian in this country. Maybe, just maybe, they have no problem with straight white guys in this country, but not black lesbians. To talk to us about this and a lot of other topics that have been taking place over the course of the last several weeks, a friend of mine, you see him on CNN all the time, is a great CNN contributor. He's also an extremely talented comic, touring everywhere, and it's a pleasure to have Pete Dominick joining us right now on the show. Pete, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Brian, I just tuned in, and I just love to hear you scream black lesbian. It's basically become, I'm going to use that as a sound drop on my show, if you don't mind.
You can. That's totally fine. I'm totally okay with that. But, you know, Pete, like, in all seriousness, you remember when Brittany Griner was released, right? And Joe Biden and the administration, they were very, open about the exchange. Some people disagreed with it. Okay, fine. Donald Trump hasn't even told the American people what he gave up. And everybody on the right's like, oh, this is great for the country. What do you make of this?
Well, number one, my understanding is this guy was arrested for a similar issue, cannabis, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so why aren't they saying the same thing? Why aren't the same people saying the same thing, that, she should have known better? He should have known better. I mean, that's what they said about Brittany Griner. She broke the law, which was a preposterous thing to think that you wouldn't defend an American who technically might have broken a law, but that law that they broke was taking cannabis oil in it. Okay, well, do you agree with 14 years of hard labor? I mean, it's a preposterous thing for you to not be able to understand, to support your fellow countrymen who are being persecuted for political reasons and used as pawns for future trades, just because that person is, in this case, a black lesbian or black or someone you don't like, And so I also think I'm not giving him any credit. I don't know. I heard Mike McFaul, who's a huge critic of Trump. He was the U.S. ambassador to Russia under Obama. He's an expert on Russia and very anti-Putin, obviously, as much as anybody has ever been. And Mike McFaul yesterday said, "Praise be Donald Trump." And I just think that's so misplaced and ridiculous, because different presidents get different treatment. Donald Trump gets different treatment and different deals from Vladimir Putin than Joe Biden did. And not just because they're friends and because Putin might have something on Trump and because he wants something in return, but that's politics. And that's very much what this is. And so I just get really irked by the idea that he's getting credit. Putin did this to make Trump look better so that Trump makes NATO look worse.
Agree with you. And it is interesting. Don't ask me why, but sometimes when I'm in my car driving to work, I do listen to conservative radio. It's really terrible. But, I'm listening to these clowns on the radio saying, what did Joe Biden do in 4 years? What did he do releasing prisoners? He didn't. Each sat on his ass. He did nothing. And then all you got to do is a simple Google search. Yeah. In 4 years, he helped release 70 American prisoners over a course of the world, all over the world. And then when Whelan and several other prisoners were released, Trump was the guy that was taking credit for it. It's like they can't spell the word fact, Pete.
Trump released, I believe, like the entire Taliban.
Right. 5,000 terrorists were released from jail with the Afghan thing. Yeah. Right.
He just released 1,500 people from prison, many of which had assaulted cops. Like I mean, I love that you argue with a lot of these people. I don't love that you always meet them where they're at. You do a pretty good job at meeting them where they're at and taking their argument and not letting them move it. But, I mean, I was watching your argument with that guy that was on your show maybe yesterday, Pollock, the conservative.
David Pollock, yep.
And, you're arguing about the difference between what Biden did and what Trump did on the border. But these arguments are so often, they need to be reframed in terms of not meeting them where they're at. This issue on immigration, I've covered this issue for years. I was working in national political media in 2008 and 9 and 10 through the entire Obama administration, watching the issue of immigration be the political football that it was.
Yep.
Anybody who's arguing about the border or immigration or security and doesn't start and end with new laws, then it's not a fair argument. It's not an interesting, really. It's not a smart argument, because what we need in this country on these complex issues, in this case with immigration, is something called comprehensive immigration reform. And they almost passed it when Obama was president, but they wouldn't let him because they wanted it an issue. They wanted to keep it an issue. And they almost passed it when Biden was president, but Trump wouldn't let them because they wanted to keep it an issue. So all this complaining about security and migrants and the caravans and the border, it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense unless you're talking about new laws that allow conservative judges and conservative border patrol agents and conservative Americans to be able to have a process for which you can hire folks, you can arrest folks, you can send folks to courts, that there's enough courts funded to take all these folks in. Then you could talk about border security, which, by the way, in 2013, that comprehensive immigration reform had more in border security than this past one did. And it had billions and billions. Everything that conservatives wanted was in that bill, Brian.
I've been saying that.
Dream bill, and they killed it so they could have this issue to argue with idiots and divide us and get dummies elected.
So right, I've been saying that for years. Not only the bipartisan border bill, where you had plenty of MAGA conservatives that helped negotiate that bill. We can go back decades and decades. This is an issue that the Republicans want. Clearly, they're not serious about it. And if the argument, as you mentioned earlier, is about making America safer, then why would he pardon a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers? I wanted to ask you this. You've been on that panel with Abby Phillips. Not many people get that opportunity, and you're one of those people, and you deserve to be there because you're very good at what you do. But you're sitting right across from Scott Jennings. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because Scott Jennings, I think it was yesterday. I mean, he says a lot of ridiculous things on his show, and he always has to be fact checked. But yesterday, he was condoning, in a sense, Donald Trump defying court orders and judges, some who have been appointed by George W. Bush. He said they were liberal judges, which we know is a lie. So many of them are judges that happen to be Republicans that were appointed by Republican presidents. And he was saying, basically, in layman's terms, I'm okay with what Donald Trump is doing, and we shouldn't listen to judges, and basically let Donald Trump do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
What do you make of a guy like that, who's a paid contributor on CNN, making what I would consider absurd and irresponsible statements?
Oh, I give him a lot of credit, because I just can't imagine how smart and morally corrupt you have to be able to see the guy that you support go on TV that day and say something crazy and absurd, and then you have to then prepare an argument to be able to defend that night, and there isn't one. And he almost always has something. Somebody should put a montage together of Scott Jennings and a few others going, you know what, I can't defend that. I don't know what he meant by that. Because there is no defense of so much of what Trump says. Trump's chief of staff, all of his policy leaders, everybody in his White House has no idea what he's thinking at any given time. And that's part of the chaos of working in the previous Trump administration and this one. And now you got Elon Musk in there making it even more confusing and chaotic for all the rest of the members of the Trump administration. Make no mistake, those people are all running around wondering what he's going to do that day. So when Scott Jennings, by 10 o'clock rolls around, I've been on that show, I don't know, several times, and I think twice with him, it's almost impressive that he's come up with a defense of Trump saying, we're going to take over Gaza. Like what? We can do whatever we want. The courts don't matter. I mean, he's got to come on and defend those things. He doesn't believe them. And so the way that you have to be to have success in certain realms and roles in media, especially if you're a Trump supporter, is got to be smart enough to be able to articulate a cogent argument, which doesn't have to make any sense, but it has to be somewhat cogent to the viewer and confusing to us, the rest of us panelists. Like, I don't even know how to react to what you just said because it's so filled with nonsense. And as I said the last time I was on with him, I said, you live at the very top of bullshit mountain and you just roll it all down at the rest of us because that's what it is. It's a complete factory. John Stewart pointed this out years ago. So it's hard to be able to defend so much of what Trump does, but Scott Jennings is somehow able to get away with doing it in that moment. And I'm slightly impressed by it because you have to be hollow. Morally, nothing matters to you. Nothing matters to you but defending that man. And that's new. We didn't always live in that America. Certainly, even in media, you didn't. People came with a certain set of conservative or liberal values, and you would kind of stick to defending them. Trump is not a conservative. He's just a maniac. He says crazy things all day. And so now you have to go on and you have to somehow defend and translate the nonsense that he said today in the front of the King of Jordan. What the hell is he talking about? What is he talking about? Elon Musk. You can't even understand what that guy's saying. And how no graphic wizard has come up with a mock-up of Trump smacking Elon Musk's kid. I mean, you watching Trump look at that little boy was one of the most entertaining things I've seen in weeks. It gave me a real reprieve. He wanted to smack the shit out of Elon Musk's kid. And someone's gonna make that graphic of him just hitting that kid. There's another thing about Trump. He's the weirdest bird I've ever seen. Like even the most arch conservative, mean, grizzled old men, see a kid off there, right? Like that, and they give him a little hair tussle or whatever. He hates children. It's a weird quality. Hates them, and you can tell how much he hates them. He does. And I just thought he hated that Elon Musk has the spotlight. He knows he owns them. He's got to give him whatever he wants. But there were, as you said yesterday, 2 kids distracting from Trump. And I'm just surprised he didn't smack both of them.
That's funny. If you're just joining us, Pete Dominick, very funny comedian, of course, a CNN contributor, been on a ton of different shows, and we appreciate his time. So, Pete, moving forward now, I'm wondering what you're concerned about most. It's kind of a loaded question, but I'm concerned about a lot of different things, as I'm sure you are. First of all, migrants that have been living in this country for decades that are not violent criminals, that have been here for decades paying taxes. They're deporting these kinds of people. I'm also, this Make America Safe Again slogan, because that's what it is. It's a slogan. We're certainly not safer. They blame Joe Biden for the price of eggs. Look at the price of eggs now through the roof. Look at gas prices through the roof. Look at the stock market. He hasn't done anything. People, they keep saying, and Caroline Leavitt keeps saying again, this is what Americans voted for. And I say, no. Even the biggest MAGA cultist around, they voted on lower my taxes, inflation, and the border, right? Those are the things that many MAGA cultists voted for. The first two, what has he done to address those problems, Pete?
Well, I mean, inflation has not abated at all. And today, Republicans introduced their budget, which would add $4 trillion to the budget deficit, the national debt. And so he hasn't done anything. I mean, but sign executive orders, right? So he hasn't passed any legislation. He's obviously appointed a whole bunch of cartoon villains to his cabinet, obviously, many of which are billionaires themselves. I don't know if you saw this, but reported today, but apparently at one point before whoever he settled on, I forget who, Secretary of Commerce, he wanted to appoint the ghost of Ray Cohn, which I thought was really going to be a hard thing to do because he would have to have a seance and bring Ray Cohn back to life. Right. But I mean, the guy is insane, and every day he's doing insane things. I was in New York on 9/11, lost friends that day, and smelled buildings and bodies burning for months afterwards. And the reason why bin Laden attacked us that day was because we had bases in Saudi Arabia and because America's long role in the Arab-Israeli conflict supporting Israel overwhelmingly. That's why he came. That's why he was radicalized. That's why he radicalized other al-Qaeda members. That's what those 15 hijackers were there for. Trump saying that we're going to take over Gaza makes bases in Saudi Arabia look like child's play. That's the greatest recruiting tool you could ever give Al-Qaeda and ISIS. You should not do that. But your question was, what am I most concerned about? And I think it's really important to tell listeners, viewers, and I try to remind myself of this every day. I can't live in this kind of chaos and fear. Every day I sense it, I fear it, I see it, and then I put it away to do the work, to talk to the smart people I talk to steal your YouTube subscribers, to come to youtube.com/standupwithpete, and basically to realize what I've learned from this guy. A lot of the things that we think are going to happen don't happen the way we think they are. I mean, uncertainty is a son of a bitch no matter what, any day. But when it comes to politics and economics, by the way, that's why you're seeing markets crater, because they don't like uncertainty. But it's really hard to deal with it. And so I think we need to remind ourselves that no one thought Trump would not get reelected. When he was first elected in 2016, no one thought the thing that would finish him, just barely probably, is a worldwide pandemic.
Yeah.
We didn't see that coming. And I don't know, Trump's almost 80. He could die. Who knows what's going to happen with this guy? Elon Musk being involved. There could be, obviously probably will be a huge eruption in their love affair. So we just don't know what's going to happen. And those of people that are predicting it, and anything as bad as, war to loss of full faith and credit of the American dollar and treasury. We're not going to pay our treasury bonds. It's literally the most secure investment in the entire world. If they go, so does the global financial system. Every country in the world and every investor in the world has got something in American treasury bonds. And so, we can worry about those things. We can realize we don't know what's going to happen, and we do everything we can to fight and make people aware. And, what you're doing every day, I think at best is you're informing people. At worst, you might be preventing people from going down the radical slide because you're constantly debunking these Trump theories. You're giving people the arguments that they need and the critical thinking skills as well that you have, that you share with your viewers and listeners. That's important to do because people can be easily radicalized and convinced by any number of things. I mean, I'm arguing with MAGAs right now just about the history of Americans' debt and deficit. Who actually creates more budget deficits and more national debt, Republicans or Democratic presidents?
It's not even close. It's not even close. Republicans.
Yeah. So, I mean, both parties like to give Americans things they need and like, but only one party is willing to pay for them.
Very, very true and well said. Pete, before I let you go, and I really do appreciate your time, you're great at what you do. Can you give out those social media handles so people can follow you? You're a great follow, and I also know that you're getting out here to Vegas here, I believe next month. So
yes,
hopefully
I'll be in Vegas, and I'm having like a 3-day experience, we're calling it. But all my favorite guests are going to be joining me. Like 6 of our favorite guests are going to be joining us in Henderson. And you can go to standupwithpete.com. But every day I host my podcast. I used to listen to right-wing talk radio all the time, and I thought, why does the host think he knows everything? Why do people believe this guy? Nobody knows everything. And I started a show that could have been called, I'm Pete Dominick and I don't know, because I would bring experts on, policy experts, academics, scholars, scientists, physicians, obviously journalists and artists, and I would learn from them. And I've been doing it now for almost 15 years. I produce it myself every day. So I'm Pete Dominick on every social media, standupwithpete.com. And please come join our community, because that's the coolest thing we've done. We've built a community of amazing people, and I host a Zoom every Monday and Thursday. I bring on special guests. You got to stop by. And that's where everybody can find me. So I really appreciate you having me anytime, and keep up the great work, my friend. You're doing great work. I just love when your new videos come out. I can't wait to watch you argue with some MAGA person and put them in their place. It's great.
Thank you. I'm sure it'll happen today. Pete, I don't know, but I mean, I know everything. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. I would label my podcast similar to yours. And I agree with your sentiment in that I try to get experts to come on. If I talk about medicine or medical stuff, I
Yeah.
try to get someone who's an infectious disease doctor.
Yeah.
If I talk about polling, I try to get not Frank Luntz because I can't stand that guy, but I try to get someone on that knows what they're talking. So I'm with you 150% on that. We all have our opinions, but if you really want to get back, speak to real experts in that field. Pete, you're one of those people, certainly when it comes to making people laugh. And I love your commentary on CNN. Keep up the great work, my friend. And maybe
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can get you in studio next month. That'd be fun if your
Yeah.
schedule permits. Pete, you're the best. Thanks, bud. Good to see you. Appreciate it. That's Pete Dominick, everybody. He's great. I love Pete. Not only is he very talented, very smart, very funny, a great contributor on CNN. I used to watch him, of course, on MSNBC, and I just think Pete's the best. He really does a great job. And we'll try to get him in studio next month. He's going to be in Las Vegas. Pete's one of those people that I met on social media. I didn't even know he was following me for a long time. And then when I hit him up and I said, why don't you come on my show? Because I watched him go at it with Scott Jennings. He said, man, I love your work. And we've become friends ever since. Pete's a great guy. We appreciate his time. All right. So before we get to the phone calls, and by the way, we do have a super chat lined up for you today, so you could put out your questions or comments. Representative Luna, who I've said for a while now is dumb as a doornail, appeared to suggest yesterday that she intends to bring in members of the Warren Commission as part of her JFK investigation. I want to play you the clip first, and then I'll explain how stupid she is if you didn't already know. Have a listen to this.
Employees of various agencies.
Would you like to jump in? Yeah, I was going to say, based on what we're actually looking to do with the JFK investigation, I'm looking to actually bring in some of the attending physicians at the initial assassination, and then also people that had been on the various commissions looking into, like the Warren Commission looking into the initial assassinations. There's been conflicting evidence, and I think that even the FBI at the time reported some anomalies in the initial autopsy at Bethesda, Maryland. All of those, though, seem to have been rinsed and repeated in the media to push a certain narrative that we don't agree with.
So, Representative Luna, we just have one issue there that I just would, a small mundane detail. They're all dead. Yes, that's right. Earl Warren died in 1974. Sherman Cooper passed away in 1991. Yes, Alan Dulles died in 1969. And, so I can go on and on, but yet they're all dead. Representative Luna, you sound like a complete imbecile because you are. And, this is Anna Paulina Luna, like many of the other MAGA Republicans in D.C. that are elected officials. Luna once implied on a podcast that black people speak Kenyan. Folks, I'm not making this up. Have a listen to this.
Frustrates and annoys, and honestly, it's disrespectful to Hispanic Americans seeing the pandering that's happening.
We speak English, first
I know,
of all.
exactly.
I was trying to explain this to someone. I was like, for outreach, like, why would you, you don't go up, but you don't go up to someone who's black and start speaking like Kenyan to them. You know what I'm saying? So why would you automatically go up to someone who's born in the United States and start speaking Spanish as if they're too stupid to know the own language that we've assimilated into? It's our country too.
I see. They're too stupid. Well, I have some more breaking news for Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who is as dumb as a doornail. Kenyan is not an actual language. And yes, those on the Warren Commission are dead. These are elected officials. These are people that are in powerful positions. These are supposed lawmakers. And she thinks she can speak to Warren Commission members who are no longer alive, and she thinks Kenyan is an actual language. My recommendation to Anna Paulina Luna is that she goes back to high school, take some civics courses, and then get back to us. So here's what we are going to do. We are going to take a quick break. This is the most interactive show in the country for a reason. We take calls not all over the country, but all over the world, from the right and the left. Now is your opportunity to chime in. What have we been talking about today? Well, we just had Pete Dominick, CNN contributor and comedian, join us. We're talking about a number of issues today. I opened up the program talking about getting this guy Fogel back and my first reaction, okay, great. We got an American home. That's a good thing. I want him to be here with his family. But we don't know what Donald Trump gave up in return. The White House is being very mum on this. Mark my words, Vladimir Putin is an evil, murderous dictator, but he's not stupid. He's not just doing Donald Trump a favor. He had to have gotten something of substance in return. Donald Trump won't tell us. He was asked about it again today, and he said, well, he didn't get much. Okay, well, what did he get? Why won't they tell us? You see, when Joe Biden brought home 70 Americans that were prisoners all over the world, in every single one of those circumstances, he was very transparent. His administration was very transparent, and they told us what they gave up in return. Now, you can disagree with the exchange. For example, the Brittany Griner exchange. A lot of people had a problem with that, but at least we knew what we were giving up because Joe Biden was transparent and honest. Why is Donald Trump and his administration not telling us specifically what we gave up in return? Could it possibly be that he doesn't want you to know because it might make him look bad? Yeah, the guy who sent Vladimir Putin COVID test kits in the middle of the pandemic is now all of a sudden not telling us what he gave up. But are we supposed to just take Donald Trump's word for it? Are we supposed to take Caroline Leavitt's word for it? Oh, we didn't give up much. Really? Well, then why don't you tell us then if you didn't give up much? That would make you look good. See, to an average IQ'd American, you would say to yourself, if Donald Trump just gives up and tells us, not gives up, but if he's honest and transparent, which he never is, and if he tells us exactly what he gave up, which by his standards were not much, then wouldn't that make him look good? Wouldn't we call him what he wants to be called, which is a great negotiator, which he's not? There's a reason why he's not telling us, because it would make him look like a poor negotiator. Doesn't that make sense to you, whether you're a MAGA supporter or not? If this actually made him look good and he gave up nothing, why wouldn't he be transparent? Why wouldn't he tell us? Because it doesn't make him look good. That's why. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Phone lines are busy right now, as they probably will be for the remainder of the show. If you can't get through, we ask that you send us a super chat in our YouTube chat right now, at PTL Radio Show, where we're also broadcasting live on there. And I promise you guys, I will read your comment or question live on the air, and we appreciate your support in advance. We're going to take a 90-second break, be back with your phone calls on the other side. It is the most interactive show. Check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. And again, the website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can subscribe to my YouTube page for free. We sell merchandise out there, PTL gear, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it, we sell it. And you could also make donations. There's a donate button right on the front page if you want to support what we do. This is an independently owned radio show. Again, that website, pushingthelimits.live. Your phone calls are next. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun when we come back. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a very busy news day, Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. By the way, the guy who is responsible for Steve Bannon being investigated, Grant Stern, great journalist. He's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. We got the super chat going. We also want to thank our friends, the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, with their very famous and popular Pass the Puck contest, where you could earn up to $500 in free slot play during any Vegas Golden Knights game. Great food, great atmosphere. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Tell them I sent you. In the super chat, thank you, Juan, for your $10 donation. He said Elon said that everything Doge is doing is on their website. Only thing is, there's nothing there that outlines what they are doing. The website is a total joke. Juan, I could not agree with you more. You are 150% correct, because I checked out that website myself, and it's an absolute joke. Very valid point that you made, Juan. And this is going to be happening here over the course of the next several years during the Trump administration. There is going to be no transparency. This alleged exchange, we don't know what Donald Trump gave up in return to get this guy Fogel home. While I'm glad he's home, they are keeping what Trump gave to Putin from the American people, period. They're not disclosing it. They're lying. Either they're lying or they're afraid to give out what Donald Trump gave up in return. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with JD. JD is first up on PTL. Hello, JD.
Hello, Brian. I have just found out that Alexander Vinnick, a cybercrimes criminal, was the person released to Russia for the teacher.
Right, but they haven't also given out other details that they didn't just say it was an exchange. First of all, they said there was no exchange. I want to be very clear on this. So Marco Rubio and others within the Trump administration were live on CNN yesterday, and they said, quote, there was no personal exchange. So, JD, somebody's lying then. Would you agree? Somebody's not telling the truth, or somebody's misinformed?
I don't understand your question. There was no personal exchange. What do you mean?
So first they said there was no personal exchange. Then some within the administration said, well, he did give some stuff to Putin, but they're not saying what it was. Donald Trump yesterday made the statement in a press conference when asked, and he said, we didn't give up much. So I guess my question to you is, why aren't they disclosing everything publicly like Joe Biden did? Why? I guess that's my question.
I can't answer that. Also, I just heard on Newsmax that the Russians have now released another American to Lithuania.
Is that where you get your news from, Newsmax?
Once in a while.
Once in a while? Do you think that's a credible organization?
I see some smart people on there from time to time, but let's not.
Who?
That's not cool.
Well, hold on a second. I think. Listen, JD, I think it's fair to say you've criticized left-wing publications, and you have the right to do so. I'm simply saying that who would you consider on Newsmax, like an anchor or reporter, to be really quote-unquote smart? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, first of all, I don't watch it that much. So I don't know how to pronounce it. Salsolito, I believe, is an anchor that puts out good information. And then there's another guy, I can't remember his name. John,
okay, we'll agree to disagree on that. Go ahead.
But also, I don't know if you covered it last week. One of his representatives went to Venezuela and got 6 Americans released for nothing. Plus, Venezuela sent 2 airplanes to pick up 190 illegal criminals from Venezuela to bring them back home.
So let me ask you a question, JD. Let me ask you a question. Since you talk about, people that apparently have been released from Venezuela and gave, quote, nothing in return. I'm curious. You've not answered my question when I said, why do you think Donald Trump and the Trump administration are withholding?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. You don't know. Do you think it was good, though? Do you think that Donald Trump should be labeled a hero for bringing Fogel home?
I think Donald Trump has answered more questions.
No.
In 3 weeks.
We need to be
in 3 weeks.
Okay.
Than any
First of
other
all,
president in 4 years.
First of all, it doesn't matter if you answer questions if you lie and withhold information. So what you just said doesn't matter to me. I'm asking you a specific question and you don't know the answer to it. You know why? Because they haven't told us. But yet you're okay with this and you don't want to bring that up. But yet you're the same person that criticized the Joe Biden exchange for Brittany Griner, didn't you, sir?
I don't think I did.
Oh, so you were okay with the Brittany Griner exchange then?
I'm okay with any American being held in a foreign country being repatriated.
Did you give Joe Biden credit for that?
Of course.
Okay, well, you never called into the show. What do you make of Whalen?
How do you know that? It was 2 years ago.
You never
can't
called in.
remember that
You
far
never.
back.
I remember that you. I guarantee you. You can go back into the archives because every show is podcasted here. You never called into this show and gave Joe Biden not only credit for that deal, but credit literally for anything. You only call into this show and give and that's fine. Do you know how many prisoners were brought home under the Biden administration in 4 years across the world?
According to you, about 70.
It's not according to me. It's the facts. Okay. I happen to say it. Okay. But you can keep saying according to Newsmax. But it's not just according to me. It's an actual fact. Okay. Did you give Joe Biden?
That's great. That's great. I compliment him for that.
Okay, good. You know what I think is not great? Okay, JD, let's have a conversation about this. I'll tell you what I think is not great. Now I think it's great that Fogel is home, and I've said that. I think it's great. He's an American. He made a mistake. He deserves to be home, and I'm happy for him and his family. Here's what I don't think is great. When you make a deal as the president of the United States with an evil, murderous dictator, and you don't tell the American people what you gave in return. Joe Biden literally did that every time, but all you care about, you want to praise him for answering questions. What good is it when you ask him, Mr. President, what did you give up? And his response is so vague as to saying, I didn't give up much. No, I want to know what you gave up. Do you support that? Or are you just going to say, well, I don't know what he gave up, but let's move on and let's talk about something else. Why don't you criticize Trump like you would criticize Joe Biden for something? He's not telling the American people, JD.
I have criticized Trump on many occasions when you've asked me on certain things.
Okay, so
I
tell me.
To bring up something else.
Well, no, hold on. I will let you.
Ahead.
I promise you, I will.
Go ahead.
I will
give
you. I will give you the opportunity to bring something
Go
else
ahead.
up. Okay, I am. I'd like you to answer my question. Do you have a problem with striking a deal with an evil, murderous dictator in Vladimir Putin and not being transparent and honest with the American people and telling us what you gave up in return? Not just Donald Trump, but everybody in his administration. Nobody is saying what exactly was given up in return. All Donald Trump has said was, quote, not much. Are you okay with the president and us being on the honor system and just taking his word for it? Or do you think you should be a little bit more transparent with the American people?
No, I'm not. And in due course, I'm sure that will come out. Now, if I may ask another question.
So you don't have, so just to be clear, you don't have a problem with us striking deals with evil, murderous dictators and the president of the United States not telling the American people what he gave up in return. You're totally fine with that. And your response is,
no.
Well, maybe it'll come out down the road.
I didn't say maybe. I said it will.
Oh, well, you don't know that. How do you know that for sure?
Okay, we still don't know about JFK.
What does that have to do with it? Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. You are comparing the president of the United States striking a deal with an evil, murderous dictator and not telling the American people what he gave up with an assassination of JFK? And that's the analogy you want to bring up? Why can't you just admit that a president making a deal with an evil, murderous dictator and not being transparent with the American people is not good? Why can't you just admit that? Because I know if Joe Biden did the same thing, you'd be the first person barking at me today. Why can't you just admit that, JD, that it's wrong? And then you can ask your question.
You can keep your doctor, and it's going to cost you $2,500 cheaper, right?
Down again. First of all, your whataboutism is pathetic. Notice how JD won't answer the question, and he doesn't want to talk about things in the past, but then he brings up the assassination of JFK, and he brings up Barack Obama. Hey, JD, newsflash for you. Barack Obama is no longer the president, and he's not a policymaker. When I was doing a show when Obama was president, you could have called in and spoken about that. I'm asking you about your Sir Orange Orangutan leader, and you're telling me on this live radio show you have no problem with the President of the United States striking a deal to bring back a prisoner, American, which we both agree is a good thing, but you have no problem with the president withholding that information and his entire administration not telling us what he gave up in return to the American. It could have been, it could affect the world. We don't know. And your excuse is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Barack Obama with Medicare. But yet your excuse is also, we'll probably find out down the road, even though you have no idea whether that's going to happen or not. Can't you just admit that this is wrong? Why can't you admit that this is wrong?
Because I don't know the situation. There's things in the back that any president and politicians withhold or do not answer the question directly. So let's just wait a day or two, and then maybe we can talk about
great.
it. Can I ask a question?
We
now?
will wait a day or two, and then when you call back in, I'll ask you the same question, which you won't answer. But go ahead. Go ahead.
You got a deal.
Go ahead.
You have kept talking about the prices of gas are skyrocketing. I paid $3.19 a gallon.
The average gas
2 days ago.
Okay, sir, I need you to listen now. I didn't say the average price of gas in Las Vegas, which is where you live. Now wait for it. I said the average price of gas throughout the country has gone up. That's number one. Number two, people like you, and you could tell me if you disagree with this assessment of you, JD. People like you were complaining about inflation and the price of eggs for 4 years. The price of eggs, since Donald Trump has taken office, has skyrocketed. So my question to you is, why are you not giving that same mentality and that same criticism to Donald Trump? The Dow is down drastically. Your stocks are down as a whole. Gas prices, wait for it, around the country on average are up. And the price of eggs has skyrocketed. So now that I've clarified, and by the way, I didn't need to clarify because I said that on the show prior. I never said Las Vegas. This is a national show. And I said the country. Why aren't you giving that same criticism to Donald Trump now that a lot of people voted for him to lower inflation and the price of eggs? Will you criticize Donald Trump for that like you criticized Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, Trump has been in office 3 years. The bird flu has been around for a year under Biden. And that has caused the price of eggs to go up.
Fair enough. So you want, by the way, Trump's been in office for 3 weeks, not 3 years. I know you misspoke there. That's okay, JD. We misspeak sometimes. But I would never say you have Alzheimer's, and I would never say you're in the gutter, which is what you said about Joe Biden when he misspoke. That's number one. Number two, if you want to blame the bird flu for the price of eggs, I think that is a very fair and reasonable conversation, JD. Here's my problem, and it's called hypocrisy. For years, you blamed Joe Biden for the price of eggs, never taking into account COVID, never taking into account the war in Ukraine, and never taking into account that we had inflation all over the world. And compared to all the other G7 countries, we were number one, meaning number one, the lowest inflation numbers, which were brought back down drastically before Joe Biden left office. So if you want to blame the bird flu on the price of eggs, at least in the last several weeks, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But why didn't you talk about COVID? And why didn't you talk about the wars that were going on for the reason for inflation throughout the world? You just blamed Joe Biden. You didn't use the excuse of COVID. So why is it okay now to use the excuse of the bird flu? Please tell me why.
First of all, the war in Ukraine has no bearing on our economy.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay, that's where the conversation ends. JD just said, and I'm going to repeat what he just said because it's so asinine. JD just said the war in the Ukraine has, quote, no bearing on our economy. Do I even need to address this? Is this a joke? How do you have a conversation with somebody that makes a statement like that? Thank you for the call, JD. I appreciate you. You can call back anytime and embarrass yourself again. We're going to go to a few super chats here. There's a few people that have put some comments up that I would like to read, if that's okay. And then we'll take some more phone calls at 702-221-7283, which is the number to call. Riot, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, how many boogers did Elon's kid eat last night? That's actually kind of funny. So Elon's kid was picking his nose. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see that, but Riot, thank you for your contribution. I appreciate you. Again, the number to call 702-221-7283. Shelly, thank you for your $2 donation. Donnie gave Putin sexual pleasure is the way that I would respond to that. That very well might be possible. Shelley, I can't prove that beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt, but I'm saying that it could happen. Hyperspace 11, thank you for your $5 donation. Hyperspace said, I'm sick of these MAGA demons using nonviolent immigrants, both documented and undocumented, as scapegoats. Hyper, I'm with you, my friend. I agree with you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for the donation. 702-221-7283. Let's move on to the next caller now. Let's see. The next caller, I believe, is Michael, who's calling from Oklahoma. Hey, Michael, what's going on?
Hello, Brian. Big fan, by the way.
Thank you.
I love how you put these people in their place.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to get your take on something that Trump's DOJ pulled yesterday.
Okay.
They filed a lawsuit in federal court to stop Native Americans from voting in any federal election because they are not citizens of the United States.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is nuts.
It's more than nuts. It's bigoted. It's racist. And let me be very clear on this. This isn't about making America safe again. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't have a problem with violent criminals that happen to be undocumented deported. And I think most Americans would agree with me on that. If you commit a very violent crime, right, of course, most reasonable people agree with that. But that is not necessarily what the Trump administration is doing in Tom Homan. They have Dr. Phil taking rides and interviewing people that have been arrested. I don't want to live in a country where ICE goes into our synagogues and our churches and our schools to deport those that don't have proper documentation but have not committed a violent crime. I do have a problem with letting out white supremacist violent criminals that attacked police officers on January 6th. So this isn't about making America safer again, quite frankly, sir. No. It's about making America white again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we agree on that.
And,
yeah, go ahead.
Brian, I also wanted to add on here that if you know politics, you've probably heard of Richard Ojeda. He is a former U.S. Senator out of West Virginia.
Yep.
He will be running for a congressional seat, U.S. Congress, out of North Carolina. He should be filing in the next few days.
Okay. Well, I'll keep my eye on that, and I will monitor that, sir, and I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Let's go to Portland now. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff calling from Portland. Portland, great NBA city, I will say. What's up, Jeff?
What's happening, Brian? So, JT, wow, Grandpa, you got to find a new news source.
Newsmax. Newsmax. What, you saying Newsmax is incredible? How dare you, Jeff?
It's just brutal. Let's go back to the guy watching the guy eat a taco.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank Luntz, you mentioned him.
Oh, he's the worst. He is the worst, isn't he? Humpty Dumpty. He is the worst.
I got 3 points on that jerk. First of all, the worst toupee in the business. Second, I saw him last week saying that the people he polls are sick and tired of being called racist. Really, you dumbass? Well, then maybe they shouldn't have voted for the racist and the Nazi.
I saw that. He was on that CNN panel. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then finally, Luntz authored Newt Gingrich's contract with America in, I think it was 93, and ushered in the Republican strategy to no longer work across the aisle. Thanks so much for your contributions, you paid for polling hack.
I agree. So Jeff is 100% right. We got to give Frank Luntz credit for something, though. He's very good at eating donuts, and he's very good at making himself look like an apparent racist on CNN. Jeff, I appreciate your phone call. I agree with you 100%. Speaking of that, let's go to Canada. I love my callers from Canada. Let's go to Linda. Linda's calling from Canada. What's up, Linda?
Hi. I love your show.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. It's so educational.
Thank you.
I wish more people would watch it.
Thank you.
Right? I have to thank Trump, and I don't thank Trump for lots of things, like nothing at all. But this I got to thank him on.
Okay.
He brought Canada together. He separated your country, right? And he brought our country together.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And it's so sad to see such a powerful country, right, being basically demolished.
Can I just
right?
respond to what you just said? It appears to me, based on some polls that I saw, that since Donald Trump started threatening Canadian businesses and Canada with tariffs, Trudeau's numbers actually went up a little bit. He actually has gained some support over this whole Trump-Trudeau saga with the tariffs. That's what I've seen.
Yeah. Where Trudeau lost a lot of people backing him up is when he started bringing more people into our country on temporary visas. And what they were doing, they were staying, right? They weren't leaving after 2 years. They would just reapply. And what was happening, they were reapplying. And they were, some people, like my daughter works with a girl that came from China that's been here 12 years on a temporary visa and bought a house.
Yeah.
So, like, now they've stopped that. They've put, put a nail in the coffin, so
Linda,
to speak, on that.
Linda, let's educate together the
Okay.
MAGAs out there who seem to think that Canada gave so much to the United States in this deal. Let's educate them and correct me if I'm wrong. Trudeau, back in December, already said he was going to put, I think the number was somewhere around $1.2 billion to border security. He mentioned,
Correct.
Right. So he mentioned this way back in December. He said it would take several months to implement.
With Biden in power at that time.
Yeah. So yeah, correct. So that was under Joe Biden. That's number one. Number two, the amount of fentanyl that is crossing the border illegally in the United States is about less than 1% of all the fentanyl that is here. He said he was going to put a fentanyl czar in place to appease Donald Trump. That really does nothing for us or you guys. And Donald Trump somehow is doing jumping jacks. Well, wait a second. That's not fair. I don't think he can do one jumping jack. He's not in the, we don't want him to go to the hospital. He's not in the correct physical condition.
No, we don't want that. Then they make him a martyr.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
So am I correct on those points that you guys didn't give us anything in return?
We didn't give you anything, but we gained from it.
Right.
Like, that's another thing I got to thank him for, because sad to say, everybody that he's kicking out of your country might possibly want to come into our country. So it's stopping them from coming into our country.
Valid point. Linda, I'm so glad you called from Canada. I have plenty of Canadian listeners like yourself. I love you guys. You guys are wonderful people. And I apologize to you for the imbecile that is our president. It's an embarrassment, and I love you guys. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to San Diego. Robert is calling from San Diego. Beautiful San Diego. What's up, Robert?
Hey, Brian. I'm a big believer that Democrats are fighting Trump the wrong way. They're on the wrong battlefield. You don't fight Trump, a guy like Trump, on policy, okay? You fight him on his ego.
Yes.
And there are several ways things can be set up that can just expose him for what he is. I've got 3 examples, and I think it would put him on the spot and bust him or wreck him. Can I pass him on?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. You know about his golf, right? He's won 28 club championships.
Yeah, exactly. He's the club champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for a guy like Trump, you've never seen him golf around. You get clips now and then.
You never will see
for
that.
For a guy like Trump, why hasn't he played in a real pro-am? Because he lies and cheats about golf. So the idea is you set up, I'd call it the presidential charity golf event, set it up so sweet that Trump cannot turn it down. Coverage, all the money goes to him, but you get him on the golf course and show that he doesn't have a 2.8 handicap. He's probably got a 30.
Yeah.
And so the thing is,
I have a quick story for you, if you don't mind,
Sure.
to what you're speaking of. So when Donald Trump was running for office back in 2015, when he ran against Hillary, if you recall, I was doing another show at another station at the time, and I interviewed Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar De La, and you could look this up, Oscar De La Hoya told me live on the air that he had played golf with Donald Trump numerous times and that Donald Trump would constantly cheat on the golf course. And I've always, and by the way, TMZ paid me for that. They put that interview up on TMZ, and then the next day, Donald Trump was asked about it, and of course he denied it. Oscar, and I've always said to myself, how you behave and how you act on the golf course, in a way, is how you. So if you're the type of person that throws your clubs around, okay, you have a temper, you have some anger management issues. But if you're the type of person that doesn't move your ball, doesn't cheat, doesn't give, if you play golf, give yourself a better lie, for lack of a better term, on the golf course.
Right.
If you don't putt out and you pick up your golf ball, usually that means you live a life of cheating. It could be with women. It could be in business. That's what Donald Trump does on the golf course. He always has something to hide. And like what you were saying, we've never seen Donald Trump with a full round of golf. The guy can barely swing a golf club to begin with. And how you act on the golf course is usually how you are as a human being in real life.
Right. Well, it's referred to, isn't it, as the gentleman's game? It's not baseball, football, basketball where cheating can be okay.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I'm glad you brought that up. I got to get to some other callers, but I really do appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I want to thank a few people for making some donations. Sandra, thank you for the $26 donation. We really do appreciate you for doing that. Kathy, thank you for the $10 donation. We're also on the Super Chat on YouTube. So if you want to make Super Chat donations on there, we'll read your comment or question. The number to call is 702-221-7283. Let's go to the MAGA Destroyer. She's becoming ever so popular on this show out of Oklahoma. Darlene, the MAGA Destroyer. What's going on, Darlene?
Brian, I have something to say to Mr. JD.
Okay.
JD, why are you so stupid and an ignorant asshole? You are an idiot. Can you spell idiot? Let me tell y'all. You know why he goes by JD? Because he wouldn't know how to spell out his whole name. He can only go 2 letters. He's an idiot.
JD Vance. Yeah.
And I'm telling him right now, he's an idiot.
Well, anybody, what would you say to anybody, Darlene, that would say, quote, the war in Ukraine does not affect our economy? That's a quote.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know, I used to think I was dumb, but I tell you what, after talking to like JD and Herb and Maggot, Patrick, let me tell you, I'm a hell of a lot smarter than they are.
Well, you are.
And I also,
you are.
Brian, this morning, my husband and I watched Doge, their first meeting, and I want to give a shout out to Jasmine Crockett. She kicked those Republicans' butt.
She's a star.
She was so great.
Hey, that's why I got her on the show, Darlene, because I actually think that she could be a president one day. I think she's that intelligent. Listen, all due respect to Kamala Harris. Some Democrats won't like me saying this. She's very educated. She's a very nice woman, nice family woman. Jasmine Crockett, in my opinion, it would be 10 times the better candidate. Why? She fights fire with fire. She's willing to get down in the mud with MAGA. She's fearless. She's certainly more quick-witted, unscripted. Jasmine Crockett could do an interview on any network. Is there anybody that disagrees with me on that? Jasmine Crockett, again, all due respect to Kamala Harris, she lost. Jasmine Crockett is would be 10 times the candidate. Can you imagine for a moment, Jasmine Crockett debating Donald Trump? I mean, come on. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Out of Pennsylvania, let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next up.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Kathy, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Well, you guys are not going to like this. They just released the budget proposal, Republicans. And I was reading some of it, and you guys are going to be royally ticked off about it. For the first part of it, They're going to cut the proposal is to cut $2 trillion from the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is going to do is they're going to use that to raise the debt limit for $4.5 trillion to fund the Trump tax cuts.
Oh boy.
Up until 2034.
Oh boy.
What that is going to mean is that for those people with incomes above roughly $400,000, the tax cuts are going to average $62,000 a year, which is more than the total income of most households that are getting Medicaid or SNAP. But let's talk about Medicaid. That's where the bulk of the cuts are going to come from. They're going to cut, the bulk of the cuts are going to come from Medicaid, and it's going to require a work requirement for people not to go on Medicaid. If your followers know, Medicaid is the program that if you don't have enough credits on Medicare, work credits for Medicare, the state gives you a stipend, and it's also for people who are on disability and who have children on disability. So that's where the bulk of those cuts are coming from.
Gotcha.
And most of the cuts are off. The rest of the cuts are going to go through his immigration process for, his immigration, anti-immigration.
I hate to do this to you, but your phone is breaking up. You're welcome. I'm so sorry. You're welcome to call back. Lori, thank you for your donation. Native American was the first who lived in America. Lori, you're 150% correct. Thank you for your donation. Sorry about that. Bad phone connection there, unfortunately. Would love to hear the rest of what you had to say, but it was really hard to hear. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Again, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we go to another Pennsylvanian, for lack of a better term. George is calling from Pennsylvania. What's up, George?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. What's on your mind, George?
I've been listening to your show for a while. I really, really like your content.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I just had one quick question, about immigration. Is that I just didn't really see, which, I'm a, mostly I would say conservative Democrat kind of person. Of course, I'm not a Trump fan at all, but I was just curious. It's what's the issue with the way going into churches or
sure
hospitals or schools. If to me it's if people are illegal, if I commit a crime here, they're gonna get me no matter where I am.
Okay, but hold on. Let me ask you because I want to clarify what you're asking. Are you talking about those that commit violent crimes in this country that are not documented, or are you talking about non-violent criminals? That's a very important distinction to me.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So, but to me, right, if you're, for example, right, if you're across the border and you're illegal, right, that's committing a crime.
All right. So let me answer it this way. Okay. I'll answer it this way. So first of all, I've made my opinions clear on those that are violent criminals in this country, not legal, and those that are nonviolent. I don't think nonviolent criminals should be deported. I think we should have a pathway to citizenship, pay a fine. People that have been living in this country for decades that pay their taxes that are not violent criminals, I don't want them sitting with their families in synagogue or church and then ICE coming in and you don't see your mom again or dad again. I have a serious problem with that. Number two, and I think this is maybe the more important point to me, which is a pretty simple one. Example. Let's just say, I don't know, you're pulled over, or no, you have a ticket that's outstanding.
Yes.
And there's a warrant out for your arrest, because we know that if you have a ticket and you don't pay it or you don't appear in court, or maybe you don't even, I know a lot of people, they get a ticket, they forget about it,
Yeah.
Do we want to live in a country in general terms that if there is a warrant for your arrest for a nonviolent crime, in this case, I'm presenting to you a parking ticket, that you could be in church with your family. You have kids, your wife, you're a distinguished, businessman, a respected, and people come in and cuff you and take you to jail and book you over that type of violation? Is that the country that we want to live in? I say no. What do you say?
I mean, I say, with your analogy with the ticket, I would say, of course not. But I don't know. I guess
it's a sir, it's a non-violent crime. If you're in this country illegally, undocumented, and you haven't committed any, it's a non-violent crime. So go ahead. I just wanted to emphasize that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I give this like totally non-violent, which I'm pretty sure like not all of them, they're not bad people like a lot of Republicans characterize them as like really bad people. They're not. You know, they just want to have a better life. But for me, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. But from watching all of the CNN or like whether it be like CBS Sunday mornings when they interview a lot of Hispanics and why they vote for Trump over immigration, to me it showed that they care less about their own people, like a lot of self-hatred going on there, and they only care about themselves. They don't care about black people, you know, women.
Who are you talking? Are you talking about Republicans? Who are you talking about?
No. So I'm saying like when they were interviewing, like, you know, AP News or CNN were interviewing a lot of Hispanic people or immigrants.
Okay.
Why they voted for Trump?
Yeah.
Their reasoning was obviously stupid. But
I think there's a lot of, but I think that's across the board. I think the reasons why a lot of people voted for Donald Trump are abundantly stupid. I don't care whether you're Hispanic or a white female or whoever you are. But do you? Okay, so we've established that we both agree that we don't want people, you know, Americans that have warrants for their arrest for speeding tickets or traffic tickets or whatever, you know, with their families to be arrested. Why would you be okay with someone who's a nonviolent person who does not have the proper paperwork but pays their taxes and been living here with a family for decades? They're sitting there with their kids, their parents, they're praying. Are you okay with ICE going in there and deporting and arresting people like that in religious sanctuaries? Are you okay with that?
I mean, for me, it's just like I don't really I answer your question. Is that I would say in a situation I would say I don't know, I'd probably be okay with it. I mean,
so you're okay. So you're okay in the United States of America, ICE going into religious sanctuaries, going into schools, and arresting people that are nonviolent criminals that have been living here for decades. And you're okay. You're saying you're okay with that. But if you're an American citizen who has a warrant out for their arrest, you're not okay with them arresting those people. Do you see the the lack of consistency? I want human beings to be treated the same. Okay? I understand that there are a lot of people in this country that don't have the proper documentation. But you're still a human being who broke the law, just like you're someone who broke the law if you forgot to show up in court or you have outstanding parking tickets. We are all human beings. If you're a violent criminal, we agree. I want those people deported, and quite frankly, I don't care where they are. It could be a synagogue or a church or school. I don't care. If you're a violent criminal, I'm okay with that, with executing that, you know, warrant to arrest somebody and deport them. That's okay. But I am not okay with nonviolent criminals and ICE going into religious sanctuaries and deport. I just think that's wrong, sir. I guess that's maybe where we disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't know. I just for me, it's like when you say they pay taxes. I know you said it before, but you know, like for example, they don't necessarily pay taxes on like what they necessarily make from like say a job or whatnot. I mean, they pay taxes when they go to the grocery store and buy food or whatnot. But like as far as like when they have a job, they don't necessarily pay taxes on it. You go to prison. If you don't, like Trump should be in prison for that, and you didn't pay his taxes.
Well, listen, we agree on that, sir, and I do appreciate your call. I just think you get where I was coming from. I believe that it's a double standard. We have some breaking news that I want to share with you. Trump is the great negotiator, right? He's going to, peace in the Middle East. Hamas has just put out a statement saying they are not abiding by Donald Trump's demands on the hostages. So Donald Trump said there will be, quote, hell to pay on Saturday if they do not release the hostages. Is Donald Trump starting a world war? We'll find out. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you do want to be a part of the conversation. Let's see. Frank is calling out of Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Frank,
How
what's
you
going
doing,
on?
Brian?
Hey, good. What's going on, Frank?
I have a question for you. The upcoming funds for the government coming up. Can the Democrats get stuff over the barrel on that? You know what I'm saying?
Repeat that question again. Repeat it one more time for me. Come again.
Okay, the funding of the government is coming up.
Yes.
Can the Democrats hold out and get what they want in return for funding the government? That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's the best way I can answer that question, sir. I'm very frustrated with the Democrat Party right now. There are stars within the party. I'm more frustrated with Republicans, but I hate to make a bad joke and analogy, but I'll answer your question this way. I think Democrats have about as good a chance of holding out as Donald Trump did with Stormy Daniels. So I hope I answered your question on that one. I appreciate the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jersey. Let's go to Elaine, who's calling from New Jersey. What's up, Elaine?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
So, I live half the year in Idaho and half the year in New Jersey. So I'm fighting initiatives about abortion bans in Idaho. But I just want to know, I just listened to Politics Girl, and I really like her. And she brings up a great point. Why aren't any of these people speaking out? Anyone with a brain knows we're under a coup. Okay?
Sure.
Why aren't our past presidents, our past vice presidents, our past attorney generals, our past joints of chiefs, our past American military leaders, our past former FBI leaders, why aren't they saying anything?
Well, I think many of them are feckless. I mean, that's the quick answer that I could give you. Some of them are afraid of Donald Trump. Some of them are scared. Some of them are feckless. Some of them just want to continue to go about their day and do their job so they can put food on the table for their families. And unfortunately, some of them care about themselves and themselves only, and they don't care about their constituents. I think there's a lot of different reasons that everybody have. I think for the most part, most Republicans go down to one reason behind why they are yes people for everything that Donald Trump says and does, because they have no backbone and they just want to remain in office. Does that make sense?
I get that.
Yeah.
But this is the craziest time. Why nobody's speaking out?
There are
it's
some,
crazy.
but very few. You're not going to get anybody on the right speaking out, and very few on the left are willing to call out Donald Trump for who he is. But if we keep calling it out every day, if we keep calling out the Democrats, if we keep calling out their feckless behavior, then hopefully we will get more that will stand up to a dictator and to an oligarchy. Let's go to Carl, who's calling in here from Las Vegas. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Brian. Listen, I don't know how embarrassed you are with the press conference yesterday that Musk had, not Trump, but Musk had, and the rest of the world embarrassed. Let me explain something real quick to you and just see if you agree with me. That president number one is Musk. President number two is Putin, and president number 208 is probably Musk's kid. No, I'm kidding about that. But number three is Trump. I think that's how the order works.
I think you're probably right on that one. I certainly think Elon Musk is. You forgot about one person, though, Stephen Miller. I think as far as policy goes, particularly with immigration and a lot of other things, I think Stephen Miller is right up there, too. Listen, Donald Trump is a puppet for Elon Musk, and Elon Musk owns Donald Trump. It's very easy to own him. And I think, Carl, so to answer your question, yes, I think that's pretty accurate for the most part. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. In the super chat, thank you, Michelle, for your contribution of $4.99. She says, if Republicans were so concerned with undocumented migrants, why are they not going after the companies that employ them, hold them accountable? Well, very good question, Michelle. Donald Trump has employed undocumented immigrants because many of these people have employed undocumented immigrants, and it doesn't benefit them to do so and their tech billionaire friends. It's a very valid question you asked, Michelle, and that is the answer for you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, this guy played in the NBA for 12 years. He's a friend of the radio show. His name is Paul McKeskey, also known as Mo, and he wants to chime in on this one. Mo, what's going on, man?
What's up, Brian? How you doing, man?
Good, good.
Hey, I want to just straighten out something that, especially the other caller, it's not illegal to be in the United States without legal documentation. That's not a crime. That's not a crime. Now, if you come in and are deported and come back in, that's a crime, punishable by 2 years or more.
Sure, correct.
But being an undocumented immigrant is not a crime. And by the way, there's nothing in the laws that says anything about illegal aliens or illegal migrants. There's nothing there that says that. So that's, talking about being transparent. I mean, I would like to know, all these, military planes that are flying out with people in them
Yeah.
for, $30,000 a pop instead of $8,000.
Yeah.
I'd like to know actually who is really on these planes, because undocumented in the United States is not illegal.
So obviously, if they cross the border without proper documentation, they're labeled as an illegal immigrant. But with that being said, the most important thing that we all agree on is that doesn't mean that they're a violent criminal. And the biggest issue that I have is there are so many good people in this country that might not have the proper documentation. And I don't want to live in a country where those that have lived here for decades that might not have the proper paperwork, that pay their taxes, and that are hardworking people are deported. And I'll take it a step further, in a place of worship or a school. Is that the country that we want to live in? Now, I say no, and I think most people that don't have bigoted tendencies would agree with us. But sadly, the Make America Great Again slogan is a Klan slogan. Make no mistake about it. It's a David Duke, KKK, Elon Musk slogan. It is Make America White Again. Yes, that's right. I named Kanye in this one as well, who happens to be black. Many people in this country vote against their own self-interest. And many people in this country do not want to see black and brown people enter this country, legal or illegally, by the way. They'll talk a good game in public. I just want people to come into this country legally, and I don't care what they look like. No, that's not true. They keep that to the vest. They want people to look like them, which is white or orange man.
And it's now they're talking about, it's in the Constitution that if you were born in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
That's in the Constitution.
Correct. Well, you're talking about anchor.
That.
Right. The anchor. You're absolutely right, Mo. The anchor baby thing. Listen, if that's the case, then guess who would be deported first? Barron Trump. It's so stupid and ridiculous, but I'm being factually accurate. If they're going by the anchor baby standard, Melania would go back to, as quote, what Trump would say, back to where she came from. I don't like using that language, but that's the language that Trump uses.
And you know what? You know what's sad and scary, and I've told you this before. In that press conference with Elon Musk and his son Musk, you were seeing the first American oligarch, a billionaire businessman that has effect on governmental.
But Mo, to be fair, Elon Musk is going to be doing checks and balances on his own. And listen, if he thinks he has, if Elon thinks he has a conflict of interest, he'll be the first person to tell the American people. By the way, he won't release his financials. I wonder why that is. Where's his financial disclosure? He won't release his financial disclosures. But hey, if I see a conflict of interest, I'll take a step back. Mo, I appreciate the call, my friend. This is an oligarchy and dangerous times that we are living in. I agree with you. Calling out of Florida, I believe. Let's go to Amy. Amy is next up on PTL, 702-221-7283. Hi, Amy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay. I have actually two questions for you, maybe just topics of discussion, but I know that some of the January 6th pardonees, for lack of a better term, were former law enforcement. I actually looked this up and found that 18.5% of those convicted were law enforcement people. Do you know if these people can just be reinstated in their old jobs because they don't have a felony now?
Yeah, so it's a very good question that you're asking, and I actually did a little bit of research on this. So it is my understanding that if you receive a pardon, anything that you were convicted of is wiped clean. You are basically never a convicted felon. Now, we all know that these people are convicted felons, but by the legal standards, for example, if you're asked, have you ever been convicted of a felony? They will say no, and there's nothing wrong with that. So the short answer is yes, it will not affect their employment. And those people, some of whom might have beat police officers with their own batons and committed violent acts, could possibly be back out on the streets again as law enforcement. Yes, the answer is yes, which is terrible.
Scary shit.
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is. It's very scary, my dear, and we are in for it. Speaking of being in for it, I implore those that are on the YouTube Super Chat and those that are listening right now, wherever you are, do you agree with Donald Trump in his first several weeks in office? Are you okay? Really, are you okay with Donald Trump making a deal with Vladimir Putin and not telling us what he got? What did Vladimir Putin get? Well, I'll tell you something. I think Putin got everything he wanted. But our own government, particularly the Trump administration, not necessarily the government, Trump's administration and Donald Trump are hiding from the American people what they gave Vladimir Putin. But that seems to be totally okay with MAGA world. Joe Biden makes an exchange, could be for Brittany Griner, could be for Mr. Whalen. They're crying until the cows come home, or Donald Trump takes credit for it, which is ridiculous. But is anybody in the MAGA world okay with the fact that Trump and his administration and Caroline Leavitt are not telling us what they gave Vladimir Putin? Is any MAGA okay with that? I'd love to hear your explanation on why. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Also monitoring our super chat out there. Let's go to Julie. She's calling in from Nashville, Tennessee. Great food out there in Nashville, home of Elvis. Julie, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
After hearing what that girl said about them cutting things, like Social Security, I'm scared.
Yeah.
With autism, I do draw Social Security because of my mother. My mom signed it up for me before she died.
Yeah.
So that was her last act on this world.
Sorry for your loss.
That
Yeah.
is like having my heart cut out because
Yeah.
they're literally taking me something my mom left for me.
Well, here's what I will tell you. I'm hopeful that Democrats are going to fight for you. I'm hopeful that you will have the health care that you deserve and the benefits that you deserve. I'm hopeful that the good will rise. But you have a right to be worried and concerned. Guess what? My dear, I'm worried and concerned. I'm sorry for the loss of your mother. Let's not forget her. And let's hope that Democrats will fight in her honor. And I will continue to fight in her honor every single day in hopes and that you will get the health care and the Medicare that you deserve, Social Security, you name it, my dear. You keep updating us and you keep calling us. And if something happens to your health care, you let me know, okay? And I appreciate you. You have a right to be worried and concerned. We all are as Americans, I would say. 702-221-7283. We got Mike calling out of Michigan. The Spartans out there. What's up, Mike?
Hi, Brian. Did you hear what Lil X said to Trump during that press conference with Elon and Trump?
I did not. What did he say?
He looked at Trump and told Trump that he is not the president and he should not be in that room.
I didn't hear that, but I did see some memes about it. I'll be honest.
And then he also told Trump to shut the F up, that he is not supposed to talk.
I wish he did say that. I like the nickname Lil X, by the way. That's very, very funny and very unique. By the way, can you just see?
Well, for one, where did he learn that language? And another thing is, a kid that age is only going to repeat what he heard from somebody else.
Well, I mean, I think we could just refer to Elon Musk's trans daughter, by the way, who said that her father is abusive. So I think we could. It wouldn't surprise me any, and I agree with your sentiment. 150%, by the way. 150%. Mary Mary Beth, thank you for your donation. We appreciate you. Mary made a donation on our website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations on there. We also have the YouTube Super Chat. We appreciate your support very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Calling out of Utah, which is not too far from where we're at right now. Let's go to Norma. Norma is next up on PTL. What's up, Norma?
Oh, first of all, those two guys are crazy.
Yes,
Both
they are.
insane.
Yes, they are.
But I'm not calling about that. I'm calling about the immigration. I don't think people realize how much those people contribute to dairy, to our milk, to our picking strawberries for $5 an hour, for doing our fruit and the meat, the poultry, and all butchering and things like that nobody else will do.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
It's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt us badly.
Oh, no
But
question.
everything he's doing.
No
but
question.
Everything he's doing is hurting us badly.
There's plenty of farmers out there right now that are speaking out
Yes,
that voted for Donald Trump, and now they have buyer's remorse. Listen, all we can say is that we warned them, Norma. We warned them.
Yes, we did.
And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We warned them.
Is.
And you have Donald Trump signing this executive order with prescription drugs, where I think Plan D and Part B, just when it comes to insulin, millions of Americans now are not going to be able to have access to that $35 insulin cap that they had under Joe Biden. And the reason why is because he went back to his original plan, where millions were unable because they weren't on the correct plan to do so. And MAGA morons are saying, well, Donald Trump is the first one that implemented the insulin cap. Yeah, they're right about that, but millions of more Americans had access to it because of what Joe Biden did, and Donald Trump went back to his original plan just because of ego. And they don't want to talk about that. Those are the facts.
That's the facts, and I'm 91 years old, and I never thought in my whole life that America would turn to communism. I never did.
And neither did
I can't stand what they're doing to our country.
Neither can
I've been through a lot of wars. I remember the Second World War when they bombed Pearl Harbor, and also what those Nazis did, and I'm just heartbroken.
Well, so am I, my dear, but I'm glad you called in. God bless you, and you always have a platform here on this show. You have a right to be concerned. You have a right to be worried. We have a very large community here of listeners of PTL Nation, and I'm very humbled by that. And I give you my word that I will continue to call it out every single day. Doesn't mean I'm not going to call out Democrats either for not being stronger on these issues, but I'm glad that there are people like that out there like you. I really am. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. Hello, Kava.
Yes. Thank
Hello,
you.
Brian. How are you doing today?
Hi, Kava. Doing good. What's on your mind?
So I want to address something that you had been talking about. So when you were talking about how we warned MAGA about voting for Trump,
yes,
I think that, yes, we warned them, right? We all told them, hey, this is what's going to come down to, whether you like that or not. This is what you voted for. Now, for me personally, as someone from another country, it angers me the most because it's personal for me, because they're using ICE, they're using these essentially weapons to get rid of people who don't agree with them. And you remember when Donald Trump specifically said that immigrants are coming to America not to vote for him?
Yeah, I
do. He's scared of people who don't like him. He's afraid.
He's not only scared of people that don't like him, Kava, and thank you for the call. He's also scared about women in power, particularly black women. He doesn't want minorities to be coming into this country, legal or not. He's scared that this country, one day, he will be the minority. He's scared. He's probably the most I think Elon Musk and Donald Trump are two of the most insecure men in all of America. I really, truly believe that they are both mentally ill, socially awkward, and will not take responsibility for any of their actions. I truly believe that. All right, let's see here. Who are we going to next year? Calling from Iowa, I believe, home of the Iowa State Cyclones. I had to throw that one in there. Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on PTL. Hey, Kim, what's going on? Hi, Kim. Are you there? Line one? I think we lost Kim. All right, we'll go to the next call. Let's go to Mark. Mark is calling out of Las Vegas. Las Vegas local. What's up, Mark?
Oh, not much. Yep, stuck in the orange cone zone. Anyway, I saw on the news, regular news. I don't watch the wackadoo stuff.
Yep.
That Putin got the guy that we arrested for interfering in the 2016 election from Russia. That's the guy they got. I mean, that's the exchange. As far as anything more than that, I don't know.
Well, here's the problem I have with this, right? They're not being transparent. And here's why I tell you, if that was it, then why wouldn't Donald Trump and why would his people on his staff lie? Marco Rubio on CNN last night said there was no exchange. Okay. Number two, if in fact that was it, I think most people in this country would say, all right, fair trade, fair exchange. I'm glad we got Fogel back. The reason why Donald Trump wouldn't elaborate on what he gave Vladimir Putin tells me that there's much more to the story than that. Because if anything made Donald Trump look good, he would be the first person holding a press conference and telling everybody. Caroline Leavitt would be the first person. They didn't do that. So that leads me to believe that they're hiding something.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. But that's what scares me. Maybe we won't find out the truth.
Okay. Yeah. Well, for another show, I owe you an apology for defending Henry Ruggs a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't know.
That's all right.
I've been listening to your show ever since.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you saying that. If for those people out there, he killed in it. For those of you who don't know, Henry Ruggs is not that I want to waste time on this, but I appreciate his words. Henry Ruggs, a former Raider football player who was driving 150 miles an hour and killed an innocent young girl named Tina Tintor. I don't remember that phone call, but I think Henry Ruggs belongs in jail for another 2 decades, but that won't happen. 702-221-7283. If anybody knows anything about driving under the influence, it's definitely DUI Matt Gaetz. Let's go to Julian, who's also calling out of Vegas. What's up, Julian?
Hey, man. So I'm assuming that you saw the proposed budget from the Republicans, including $880 billion cutting from Medicaid.
Yeah, I mean, this is Project 2025, Julian. I think we both could agree. There are so many Americans that are going to suffer from this, and so many of the people that are living paycheck to paycheck that sadly voted for Donald Trump that are going to wonder where their health benefits go to, and they went in Donald Trump's pocket. That's where they went, but they're so stupid they don't understand that.
Oh, 100%. And again, while we see the propagandist in chief, aka Elon Musk, push what he will, again, I think it's going to take for the American people touching the stove, feeling pain. Like, I don't want that to happen.
You are so right.
I think that's the only way.
You are so right with what you just said, Julian, in that when I speak about a lot of these MAGA Republicans, example, I could talk about Liz and Dick Cheney, right? They were anti-gay marriage, and quite frankly, they were anti-gay until they found out a member of their family was gay. And then all of a sudden, they switched their mind, right? It's until it happens to you is when you decide to do something if you're a MAGA lawmaker or noisemaker. So I completely agree with what you just said.
Yeah, no, it's going to take the American people suffering, prices going up, losing their medical insurance, unfortunately, people dying, and probably Donald Trump is going to destabilize the Middle East, get us into a war, and we are going to have flag draped caskets come back to this country, which is going to be horrific. And it's going to take that to break the spin.
I completely agree. And thank you for listening here in Las Vegas. I appreciate you, Julian. Thank you. Also appreciate Marcia, who just made a donation on my website of $21. Marcia, very generous of you. We appreciate you supporting this show very much. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I didn't really get any calls on Representative Anna Paulina Luna. We played the audio of her suggesting that she intends to bring members of the Warren Commission back as part of a JFK investigation. Only problem is somebody needs to tell Miss Luna that everybody on that commission is dead. And she also made the claim that she thinks black people speak Kenyan. Kenyan is not an actual language. 702-221-7283. Folks, I'm not making this stuff up, okay? These are actual lawmakers that righties out there in MAGA vote into office. I wish I was making this up because it's pure comedy, but I'm not, and that's what makes it sad. Let's see, who are we going to next here? Who is next on the program? Christopher is calling in from Texas. Why don't we go to him next? What's up, Christopher?
Hey, Brian. Hey, real quick, and I don't know if you saw this, but did you see where Hakeem Jeffries basically threw up his hands and said, well, I just don't know where we have the leverage here? That irks the crap out of me. Yeah. I don't know if it does you.
It does. So let me, I didn't see that, but I'll take your word for it. Let me respond to that. So I've been saying for a while now that I have a lot of respect for Hakeem Jeffries. I think he's a very educated, intelligent man, but I've also had a lot of criticism for him. Example. There was a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric from the far left, some, that represent the Democrat Party, like Rashida Tlaib. He didn't speak out enough against that. He didn't speak out enough against these protests that were going on across the country. Not all those people were bad people, by the way. Just because you're pro-Palestinian doesn't mean you're a bad person. But there were specifically some of those people across the country that were pro-Hamas. Hakeem Jeffries did not speak out against that and did not speak out against those in his own party. Now, the word I have been using today is the word feckless. And Hakeem Jeffries needs to be more strong. He needs to have a little bit of Jasmine Crockett in him, like some of the others do. And many of the other Democrats in office today need to take a page from the Jared Moskowitzes, right? The Goldmans, who's a really smart guy and an attorney and a congressman. Take a page from the playbook of an Ocasio-Cortez, of a Jasmine Crockett. Eric Swalwell, I'll put him in there as well. These are very intelligent, strong, and vocally strong people. We need more of those. And I just don't think Hakeem Jeffries is one of those people. I have a lot of respect for Hakeem Jeffries, but I'm disappointed in him as well. And you just gave an example as to why I am.
Absolutely. And it just seems to me like he's more than happy to lemming his way off of a cliff. And I just don't understand it. You're right. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, these are the new Democrat leaders, and it's about time that the senior leadership recognizes it and makes the change.
Why do you think it is so much
Brian, love the show.
Thank you, sir. Why do you think it is all the time that the Sean Hannitys of the world and the others on Fox News and the Newsmax, and why do you think they always go after AOC and they call her a bartender like there's anything wrong with that? Because she's a force to be reckoned with. You don't hear a lot of Republicans on Fox News complaining about Hakeem Jeffries. Why? Because he's not really a factor. He, at times, he's feckless. But they always go after Jasmine Crockett. They always go after AOC, right? They'll always go after, Eric Swalwell. Oh, he was having relations with, I'm not even going to go there, okay, because it's such a ridiculous story. But they go after the stronger Democrats because they know that they're a force to be reckoned with. And again, they don't talk about Hakeem Jeffries that much because I don't think he's really a threat to MAGA. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Pam. She's calling out of Arizona. Pam, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. First-time caller. First-time caller to any radio station ever.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you calling in.
And I love your show. I've been watching it and listening to it for about 3 months.
Thank you.
And I'm an old lady in my 60s, and I'm just fed up. Okay, I'm tired of feeling helpless about what's going on, but I've come up with a few things we can do. The first thing we can do is everybody can take a few minutes every day and start calling all the senators and all the congressmen and letting them know how we feel.
Sure.
Letting them know we're not going to put up with this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
President Musk is unelected. Mm-hmm. He's going through our Treasury Department and grabbing everybody's Social Security number. I called Andy Biggs, who's a congressman from Arizona.
Right.
And I wasn't, of course, able to talk to him, but I talked to one of his representatives. And she was a young person, young girl. And she was like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. He's looking for, corruption in our... I said, you don't think there's anything wrong with Elon Musk having your personal Social Security number? Have you ever filled that anything?
So here's what I would say to somebody like that. I would say Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. You think that he wanted to go through all this because he just cares about America and corruption. Now, they might say yes, and I'd say, okay, let's go with that for a moment. Elon Musk is literally going after the people that have done him wrong, the companies that have done him wrong, those in government that have done him wrong. The proof is in the pudding on the people that they are already firing. And Elon Musk is a part of this, to make no mistake about it, firing FBI agents that were just doing their job, firing people that have spoken out against Donald Trump. that is exactly who they are targeting, people that have done them wrong, not people who have done the country wrong. And I can show you proof in the pudding with the cuts they've made already. And of course, there's going to be conflicts of interest. Listen, I am so glad you called into the show. When we have a little bit more time, please call back. Yeah, that's a younger woman who is clearly ill-informed, and not you, the person you spoke to on the phone, uneducated and ill-informed, and it's sad, quite frankly. It is sad. It really is. In the super chat, even though people disagree with me, I do appreciate their support, and I wish some of them would call in more. Couch Hopper, what's up, Brian? Brian hates me. No, hate is a very strong word. I hate Donald Trump. I don't hate you, sir. I hate Donald Trump. I might be frustrated with some of my callers that are MAGA supporters, but I don't hate you, and I appreciate people that call into this show. I hate people, usually, people that disrespect women, people that commit crimes against women, people who are liable abusers. I hate people that are grifters, that sell Trump Bibles for $60. I hate people that attack POWs and attack service members. I dislike people that, at least in my eyes, dodged the military multiple times. Thank you, Couch, for your support. I appreciate you. See, a MAGA supporter can still love me. Maybe in a heterosexual way, maybe not, but that's okay. Your preference, sir. I know I'm a good-looking guy. It's okay. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Remy is calling from Atlanta, Georgia. Hi, Remy. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind, Remy?
Okay, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I've been a long-time listener, like other callers. But I just wanted to say I'm with you 100%. But I do have a question. Do you notice how with I'm going to the immigration thing, but do you notice how it's like as someone once said, there are bad hombres,
yes,
and there are good hombres.
Yes,
right?
Yes, correct.
But for me, as a Black woman, is there ever a distinction between us when we're in situations? Do they ever look at us and go, you know what? He pays taxes.
Right.
He's all right.
So
to answer your
question, my biggest criticism of so many MAGA supporters that seem to attack Black and brown people and trans people, besides just being hatred and bigoted in nature, a big criticism I have for them is they only see life through their lens. They don't see what life is like being somebody Black in this country, being pulled over because of the color of your skin, being followed at a store because of the color of your skin, being attacked because of your sexuality. They only see life through their own lens. And you can call it complicit, you can call it ignorance, and many people are just bad people. But that's my biggest criticism with many of these people is they're so complicit they can't see life through somebody else. They don't want to listen to other people's experiences, or if they listen, they don't put any credibility to it. They only see life. Listen, I know people, I know a lot of people that are trust fund babies, sadly. I have one of them that I made a personal bet with when it came to Donald Trump that hasn't paid me. My personal friends know who I'm talking about. But these are trust fund babies. These are people that don't know what it's like to work and live paycheck to paycheck. And if something goes wrong, they go crawl to daddy. And sadly, my dear, we're always going to have people like this in society. It just seems like there's more of them now. Thank you, Judy, for your purchase of a T-shirt on the PTL website. We appreciate your support. And we also want to thank Joanne for her $10 donation. Thank you, Joanne. She went on pushingthelimits.live and supports what we do here, and that's why we're able to do what we do. So we appreciate your support. I also want to thank Jackson's Bar and Grill. They are the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. They're located at Flamingo and Jones here in Las Vegas. If you ever come to Las Vegas, if you don't live here, check out Jackson's. Tell them I sent you. Brian Sliplock and the gang will take care of you. Up to $500 you could win just on slot play during a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game. It's called the Pass the Puck contest. Great promotions, great food, Jackson's Bar and Grill. And I'm thankful to all of you. It's a very ever so growing show. I think we're just about ready to pass 70,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. I appreciate all of you. The Super Chat's been a lot of fun today. And even though we were a little short of our goal, we had a lot of support on there. So everybody, whether you're a MAGA supporter or not, everybody that is listening, that is watching live, those that were in the Super Chat that made donations, I love you all very much. Appreciate you. Those that are watching live on TikTok, please be interactive on TikTok. I'm putting a lot more videos up there every single day. I put up a couple videos the other day that got a combined total of 1 million views. So it's good to see that people appreciate what I do, and I appreciate all of you as well. So tomorrow on the program, we have some good guests. Ryan Shedd, I keep pronouncing his name wrong. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ryan Shedd's going to be joining us, very popular left-wing podcaster. And the reason why Steve Bannon was ever investigated, the guy who brought that to fruition, Grant Stern, is going to be joining us. He's a great journalist, so he's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. I would ask all of you respectfully to check out my website. It's pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for my YouTube page, completely free, at PTL Radio Show. Check me out on TikTok. We're growing on there. I think we were like 30,000 followers on TikTok. And I want to say it was like maybe a few weeks ago. And now we've passed 50,000. So TikTok is definitely growing. So I'm very appreciative there. And everybody watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, so on and so forth. At our YouTube page, we're at 68,402 subscribers, so ever growing. It seems like we just passed 50,000 a few weeks ago, so maybe it seems that way because it's true. So I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, No Money G, for the donation, the $5 donation. He says, thanks for all you do, Brian. And Darlene kicks ass. Get better soon, Darlene. Yes, she does. I'm liking that we have like a nice phone call community on PTL from people, all shapes and sizes, all colors in the crayon box, all across the country, and quite frankly, the world. We got calls from Canada today. We've gotten calls from Australia this week. So I'm very humbled by that. We are growing the PTL Nation, as I call it, and we appreciate all of you for joining us. We will be back at it, same time, same place tomorrow. The guy who's responsible for Steve Bannon being investigated criminally is joining us tomorrow, Grant Stern. You're not going to want to miss that. And my thanks to Pete for joining us on the show. Great contributor, Pete Dominick, CNN contributor and great comic. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for the support, and have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467